Welcome back. You're watching Global Business Report, and I'm Jane Lawrence. To Ghana now, where the Parliament has approved funding to the tune of $100 million for the nation's secondary city support program. It's one of Africa's nation's attempt to provide for the rapid urbanization of the continent's population and could provide a role model for other developing countries. Well, to explain it all, I am joined by Ghanaian economic expert Tetteh Kofi in our London studio. Great to have you. Now, let's start off. African nations are urbanizing at an unprecedented pace. Now, how is this affecting cities across the country, or the continent, rather?
Well, it's affecting the continent, A, dramatically, and B, in a way that provides a lot of challenges. In other parts of the world, when urbanization took place, typically the planning and the infrastructure was in place before the population moved from rural to the urban centers. Development in Africa has been organic, and it's been led by the needs of mostly young, unemployed people. So the drift into the urban centers has preceded the creation of the infrastructure to provide jobs, sanitation, and all the other things that people living in close proximity need to live happy, productive, and healthy lives. So this is the challenge, and the clock is ticking. Because right now in Ghana, for example, 52% of the population of the nation live in the urban centers. By 2030, which is what, a very short time away, that is expected to rise to 65%. And the current drift on an annual basis is a rate of 5% growth per annum for the urban centers. So the impact for Africa has been dramatic and difficult.
All right. So how is Ghana planning to spend its pot of cash? I mean, like, can this help Ghana diversify its economy?
Well, there are two sides to this little conundrum. The money has been set aside actually to improve institutional performance within the urban centers. So 25 urban centers have been targeted. And the whole idea of this is to make sure that the municipal centers function effectively. Now, in Ghana, this matter was given some impetus because during the course of just this year, there have been a number of very high-profile and catastrophic events. There was a young doctor who died on her way home from choir practice, and her car got washed off a bridge. You see, so things like this actually caught the public imagination. There are issues around sanitation. So again, this matter is rising right to the top of the tree. But that's only one side. Because when people move from rural areas which produce agricultural produce into urban centers, the labor and the resources which are required to keep those rural areas ticking over are, of course, no longer available. So for this thing to work, first of all, we got to make sure that the money is well spent in the metropolitan, in the urban areas, while laying down plans to make sure that we don't deplete our agricultural production. And after all, Ghana is still an agricultural country.
Right. Now, Kofi, we need to find out, can the government afford this spending?
Sorry, can you say that again, please?
Do you think the government can afford this spending?
I'm not sure whether it's a question of afford or not. I think it's an imperative. This isn't would like to do, this is a must do. Otherwise, the quality of life within the urban centers will decline. And as the quality of life declines, we lose the output from the labor that's now embedded in those urban centers. So certainly, the government has got to afford it. However, it does require real joined-up thinking. Because, for example, you've drawn down $100 million. This isn't a gift. It's money that's going to have to be paid back at some stage. Meaning, therefore, that the output from this money has got to provide you with more than $100 million worth of economic outputs. Otherwise, it's not worth it. So what it means is that it makes me tend to think that African development projects these days need to be measured in the extent to which they provide employment, develop our own capacity to run our own economies and develop from there, and also spread some wealth across the population. If we are not able, through these loans, to if you like, capacity build, to develop our own resources, then this is, good money chasing bad.
Right. All right, Ghanian, the economic expert Tetteh Kofi in our London studio. Thank you so much for your time here. You're watching the Global Business Report here on Arise News.